Yeah, had an accident with my paraglider in Monterey at the Lake Court launch site, and I popped my wing open, and immediately I saw that the lines were crossed, and the wind yanked me off my feet, and eventually yanked me over the edge of this dune, and I was in free fall for about 30 feet before impact on the ground. And I hit with my left side, and it whiplashed my neck, and the kinetic energy of the impact left through the left side of my left knee. And luckily there was no broken bones. It took me a couple of days to figure that out. And I was able to collect my stuff and hike back out to my car, my van. And by then I knew I was messed up. I was going to need to get in. I needed to get into hot water, so I drove to the hot springs 4 hours away. Miracle Hot Springs is 4 miles east of Lake Isabella in the Kern Canyon Sequoia National Forest. It's right on the river. So if I'm sitting in the hot spring, by the edge of my feet is the river, and that river is usually around 40 degrees this time of year. And the hot springs are between 100, and the hottest pool, the source pool, is probably between 118 and 128, depending who you talk to and what time of day it is. Definitely hotter in the summertime, and after some like earthquake events, it gets hotter and cooler and whatnot. But you can do an immersion at 118 degrees and walk down to the river and do an immersion at 40 degrees. So it's like, yeah, that water is so cold, it literally hurts. If you've stayed in it long enough, it'll just hurt your skin from being so cold. It's so cold. As soon as I felt it, this winter, I understood. When I finally got up the gumption to kind of inch my way down to the water, down to the river from the hot spring. It was a whole operation at the time because I was practicing conscious walking, which is where you're fully conscious of your weight. You know, how you're supporting yourself at every instance, because otherwise you could hurt yourself more. So you move really slowly. So even going 10 feet could take 10 minutes. It's like that. But at least you'll get there in one piece without hurting yourself, you know? So I hiked down to the river. And as soon as I climbed in, got up to about my waist, I understood how you could freeze. How your heart could stop. If you weren't able to pull yourself out quickly enough, how your heart could stop, how that water could just and how people freeze to death in the water. Yeah. Saw it, felt it, feeling it right now as I'm telling you about it. A boundary. The universe telling me, not too ready for this one, bro. You know, because yeah, this music is this piece I'm working on, and It's what I'm calling a universal loop algorithm. And what I mean by that is that it reaches I found as by playing around, I found a setting where the music will play itself, because I've got the reverb and the echo almost all the way up. So each note, the way I picture it, each note is like a wave through the ether, and somewhere out there is a boundary. And so every sound that's made gets echoed and reverbed, and eventually it bounces back and interacts with the sounds that were made, initiated by me. And it creates another reaction that bounces out into the void and eventually comes back. And so that I don't actually have to do any more inputs, it'll just keep playing and evolving as the sound wave, as the initial impetus wave dissipates. It spreads out into that seemingly infinite void. So if we're doing it right, I guess, every once in a while with this instrument, you can come upon this infinite music. You can tune into this music that the universe is making. I mean, the universe is making this right now. And it goes on for quite a while. I let it play until this thing would stop, because this is the universe as composer. And what I got from it was that trance. This is a trance tool. I guarantee that if you listen to this music, especially this piece all the way through, that you are going to drop into trance state. You're going to drop into daydreaming. That's what this piece was devised for. That was my intention. It was to inspire daydreaming, to support daydreaming, to stimulate daydreaming. And daydreaming is when your brainwave, the dominant brainwave pattern is between 6 and 8 vibrations per second, 6 and 8 cycles. And your eyes open. Your visual sense active. That's daydreaming. With your eyes closed, that's what we call meditating. It's the optimal meditative state. But when you're in the optimal meditative state and your eyes are open, you're in flow state. And we all got a lesson in flow state in that NFL playoffs game with Patrick Mahomes. He was wearing something like a Fitbit that monitored his heart rate and vitals. And it turns out that in the times that he was playing, he was the most in flow state. His whole system was calm and executing. And so he was in flow state. It's when he wasn't playing, when he wasn't on the field, that it was the more active. 13 seconds left in a playoff game. And he scored a touchdown to send them into overtime, to send it into, to send them into the next round of the playoffs. It's an epic, one of the most epic games in the history of the sport. Will be remembered forever. What you can do in 13 seconds. In the flow state. That's what I'm talking about. And we are there every friggin' day. We're our favorite moments of the day are what are known as revelries. Reverie. When we are standing on a street corner, waiting for a bus, or driving down the interstate, stuck in traffic, waiting for the light to change, standing in line at the supermarket, and we drop into trance state. All of our best ideas come from trance states and daydreaming consistently every friggin' day. That's how and where and when we figure shit out. Shit being fertilizer. We realize the whole point of everything that's happening is fertilizer. The universe uses everything there is. Nothing's wasted. Everything's recycled. In theory. Right? So, I went headed to the hot springs at 10 o'clock on Christmas Eve, 10 p.m. Hobbled to the springs, climbed inside. One of the most amazing moments of my life to have made it there. Made it into the hot spring, into the source pool. 118 degrees. Easy. Man. And I thought at that moment, I'm not leaving till I can run again. Which at the time was, I don't even know if I'd be walking normal ever again. I didn't know if I'd be crippled. Still hadn't figured out if I'd broken any bones. But I spent the night in the spring. And I don't know, about 3-4 o'clock, some brother came with a boombox into the lower pool. And I told him later when he was leaving, I was like, dude, his music, his selection of music was perfect. It was so trippy, you know? There were only like 4 of us, I think, there. There was a couple in the pool next to me. And this guy down by, there were 4 of us, that's right. And Christmas Eve in the hot pools. And this brother down by the river. Because he was down by the river, his sound went and bounced off the other bank of the river and back. And so the sound was just, it was like it was a concert, you know? And it was just what I needed. It was like the universe saying, it was like the universe saying, so it's going to be all right, bro. It's going to be all right. We know this was a traumatic experience. It's going to be all right. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while, but it's going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? So, got some news. I'm publishing. I'm publishing my 9th novel, my 30th book, as we speak. It's called Highest Good. I love writing, and I love writing fiction. Because it gives me a chance to illustrate the metaphysics that I've been writing, the nonfiction I've been writing. The metaphysical nonfiction inspires me to write metaphysical science fiction. Because it's one thing to share with someone a principle, like a metaphysical principle, like we're all infinite and immortal beings, right? It's a nice sentence. It's another thing to be able to show what that means. And that's what I've been trying to do with these 9 novels. And the novels all came, in between each one of those novels, I published a nonfiction, metaphysical nonfiction book. Let's see. I published Absolute Truth, the 3rd, Divine Metaphysics 103, in June of 2015, right as my father passed, while I was in the airports going to and from his memoriam. I was publishing, or actually hit the button to publish Absolute Truth. I was in Logan Airport. I spent all night in that airport working on the publishing and caught a couple hours nap before I caught a bus to the Cape, to his being interred at the Otis Air Force Base National Cemetery, where I met my Uncle Fred, his brother, for the first time since I was 8. And we had one of those moments in passing where their car passed by mine. They were looking for me, and I was waiting for them. And when their car passed, he was in the passenger seat and, looking for somebody. And I'm looking at this car, and I'm like trying to see if this might be, if I recognize anybody. And he and I recognized one another right away, and we both lit up, and it was so cool. It was so fucking cool because I got to shake his hand and hug him. And what a strong person. You know what I mean? I mean, strong hands from working hard with them its whole life, And one of those people that you're like, please take it easy on shaking my hand, kind of. But he did. He was, oh man. And he looked like my dad. And I could see, I could see his life just in his face. It was so wonderful. And Aunt Daisy, always dressed to the nines. Always dressed to the nines. If you go to her Facebook, not on Facebook anymore. If you go to her Facebook, and look at her photographs, she is like a fashion icon of rockin' church lady fashion. You know what I'm saying? Rockin' church lady fashion. She is, is the fashion plate. I don't know if I'm using that right. I don't know. She's it. She's in the dictionary under rockin' church lady fashion. She'd be all about it. And her pastor is so cool. We felt like brothers right away. He had driven them up when he found out that they needed to come and we needed to do this. He drove them up, and so we all hung out. And it was so cool. There was this moment where we're all sitting around Idris's apartment in Braintree, around in there. And sharing a meal and talking. This is after what happened at the cemetery. We all rendezvoused back at Idris's place, and Idris is my cousin. By my father's older brother, Edward. He passed already a long time ago, I guess. I'm not sure. He was a notorious alcoholic, raging alcoholic, and left no friends. But he also was the oldest of these kids. And I think 5 brothers and a sister. And that alcoholism expressed attention in the family. The family was very driven. Very driven. A tremendous sense of purpose. Tremendous sense of purpose. So, my name is David Alexander English, and I now have an AKA, David America .art. Also, David American .art. And .com, and Daydreaming Club. I'm one of the things that's come to me is that we spend the majority of our life in trance. The essence of daydreaming as trance, as daydreaming trance as a spiritual practice is coming to full conscious awareness of the fact that you're daydreaming and continuing into trance. That's a flow state. And when you can walk through the world with that, everybody wins because you're plugged in. You're getting exactly what you need. You're doing exactly what the source of the universe wants us to be doing, which is giving our undivided attention to the source of the universe. Without reservation and with glee. With unabashed glee. That's the mission, right? Yeah. Flip this thing.